Good morning. Scottish and Welsh nationalists are joining forces at Westminster.
Scots words are only occasionally heard on television today. But back in the 16th century, Scots was the most dominant national language. It was spoken in Parliament and almost all official documents were written in Scots. Now, these words are rarely written down, except perhaps in poetry. But what if Scots hadn't declined? Would the language still be alive and spoken more widely on the radio and television?
Good evening. The Queen has opened the new Scottish Parliament building with...
Here's a recording of the news on the 9th of October 2004. It's in English.
The presiding officer, George Reid, said the people, the Parliament and the Palace had come together to mark the royal opening. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Revel Alderson.
Officially at home, the representatives of Scotland, the MSPs.
Now here's that news again, in Scots.
Good evening. The Queen has just opened the brand new Scottish Parliament, beginning with a challenge to our MSPs to make sure that Holyrood is seen as a landmark of 21st century democracy. The presiding officer, George Reid, said that the folk, the Parliament and the Palace had came together to hansel in the royal opening. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Revel Alderson.
Since devolution, Scots has made a tentative return. And very occasionally, we hear a hint of the language of the old Parliament.
What do the people want of the place? They want it to be filled with thinking persons, as open and adventurous as its architecture. A nest of feirties is what they do not want.
A nest of feirties. Doesn't that just sound great? And that's all from us for the moment. Our next update's at 1:30. Hope you can join us then. Bye-bye.
My favourite word in Scots would be bra.
Rab Wilson is a man who lives his life in Scots. He writes it, he speaks it, and he makes his living from it.
Has he been busy today?
It's been good, yes.
Brought up in East Ayrshire, Rab became a writer and poet, and he's now a passionate advocate of his Scots language.
I left the skill about 16 and I done an engineering apprenticeship with the coal board. So I worked in the deep mines for 8 years. So I was immersed in this local dialect. But later, you know, when I was post 30-year-old, it became apparent that this language had been used by local poets and rhymers for centuries. And so I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to write, I'll write in that language too. And it's a tremendous thing that you can still walk down virtually any street in any village or town in Lowland, Scotland, and hear this assuch, this wonderful lied still been spoken there. And I mean, it is such a braw thing. But if you ask the folk to write in Scots, they just couldn't do it. They wouldn't be able to do it. There is this wonderful word, modlet, M-A-W-D-E-L-I-T, modlet. And it's a crazy word, really, because only the Scots could invent it, such a word as this. It means inventing, you know, feigning an illness in order to avoid going to a court appearance. Now, how weird is it that we should have such a specific word in the Scots language as this, modlet? But yet, that word came directly from France, because in France that would be mal de lit, an illness that puts you in your bed. So it has travelled over the water here to Scotland, where it has been kind of corrupted in its pronunciation into modlet. I remember I get sent to one day to away and fetch the big Monday, son. And I goes, what? Away and get the Monday hammer. And I thought, why is there a hammer called Monday? You know, And I didn't get it. I really asked for the hammer. Now, a heavy hammer is like a 9-ton mash hammer, but the Monday hammer is a hammer that's about 20 pun. It's a great big giant floor hammer. You know, if you can't get something to shift or move the ordinary hammer, you use this great big giant the Monday. Go and fetch the Monday. And of course, it wasn't until years after the penny dropped. It's Scots. It means mon day. This is the thing that will do. You mon day that. You will do that. You must do that. You know, this is the hammer that will do the job. You know, when everything else fails, you get a bigger hammer.
I think my favourite Scots word is probably gowk. Fool, clown, simpleton. It's basically an insult. You called my mother a gowk, and now you must die. Ah! Like most adults, I have a lot of regrets about my childhood. The wrestling, for example, never took off. I was supposed to be the laminator. I wish I'd learned how to break dance. I wish I'd finished building that quite large particle collider. And I really, really wish that I'd been taught how to speak Scots. I was 3 years old when my family moved to Scotland from England. My dad was from India. He wanted me and my brothers to learn Punjabi, which is fair enough, part of my cultural heritage and all that, but not much use in the playground. What I was actually reading was, Oh Wally, much more helpful. Oh, help my bub. Scots is a great language. It's expressive, it's muscular, it's brilliant for comedy, and it's brilliant for insults. You see, the ability to deliver a class insult is an art form, and it's part of the Scottish psyche. We Scots, and big Scots, are all about being grounded. Don't get any ideas above your station, pal. Don't get too big for your boots, son. That hat, with those shoes, mum. We like to burst arrogance, to explode pomposity, and the best way to do that is with an insult. And the best language for insults is Scots. I wish I'd known a bit of Scots that day in primary 7 when I experimented with my hair. What are you looking at, you scabbit wee puddock? You scurry ragabash? You canaptious scroosh? Yeah, baby, who's crying now? Sorry. Wha's greeting the new? Here's my gift to you. The best Scots insults ever. Take them away. Play with them. Practice them in the mirror. Ya Miss Lucius Skrink. Ya Priscina Slooshed. Ya Nebby Snockle. Ya rackle-handed gowk. The next time you got toilet paper on your shoe in a casino, you know exactly what to say. Oh, before you go, my favourite Scots joke, right? What do you call, right, a Scottish guy with 1 foot inside the front door? Hamish. Hamish. Oh, get out of my house, you buck-sturdy skilliquitter.